Hello, Honourable. How are you?
Very well, V. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. So, what is your daily routine?
Quite a hectic. Very hectic one. Okay, in the morning I wake up, have a jog, come back, that is around 5. I wake up at 5 every day. And then from there I come back, take a shower. After that, then have my breakfast. But of course, before I leave, I always have to make it a point that I pray. And after that, of course, when there are parliament sittings, we've got a lot of meetings at times. So I go for my meetings. Then from there, then around 2:15, I have to make sure I'm in parliament. Being an assistant speaker, I have to make sure every time before parliament begins, I'm always there. Then from there, of course, we sometimes finish 5 minutes to 7, or maybe later. That is if we're doing budget approvals, is always late. We sometimes finish after 5 minutes to 7. Then from there, I come back home, have my dinner. We do our evening devotions. Then, of course, I always make sure that I watch this other program. There's one program now which I like watching, which is called Game of Love, which is on Star Life. I like watching that program because it teaches me a lot about love, and yeah, it's quite a very interesting program. And again, there are a lot of when I look at it from the film side, it has got a lot of suspense in it. So I enjoy watching that program, and then of course I sleep after that. But before I sleep, I always make sure that I read something. I have 1 hour that I read. I know that I'm supposed to at least have a book that I read at least an hour each day.
That's really interesting. What book are you reading right now?
Now I'm reading Sun Tzu, Warfare, Art of War, which then talks about political dynamics and also what tactics that you can use in war. When I look at that book, it then tells you what is expected from you, especially as a politician. It's not specific to politics, but then I have to relate it to the field that I will be in, whereby I believe in politics there's some silent war. It's very silent, which is there, and indeed, definitely, you then will then look at it and have to apply it to your own situation.
That's great. What 5 things are you most proud of?
Well, okay, the first thing is for me to become a member of parliament. It's not anything that I thought I was able to achieve. Of course, you'll be so determined to say, I want to achieve this. But looking at it, it's not really something that is just on the plate that you just say, okay, there, Tatenda, take it. For me, when I look at it, it's a very great achievement. I'm very happy to have achieved that. Why? Because the background that I had, being an orphan, I was an orphan. I lost my mom when I was 10, and I lost my father when I was 12 years old. So that alone, it made me realize and appreciate that people really sometimes look down upon orphans. So me having achieved that, for me, I'm very happy. The second thing is for me to become an actress in Studio 263. When I was young, I was always saying to myself, I want to become an actress when I grow up. I was saying to myself, I need to make sure that at least I'm seen there on TV. You know, I started acting when I was as early as 5 years, and I was acting as Mary, the mother of Jesus, at church. So from there, I then just started acting. Even when I was in grade 7, I was actually the head of drama club. Even at Form 4, Form 5, Form 6, all that, I loved acting. So then when I started acting at Studio 263 until now, I always say to myself that was actually grace at its highest levels, because I never thought I was able to achieve that. The third thing that I also appreciate also having achieved in my life is that I've got a degree. Of course, there are now many, but just me acquiring that first degree. For me, I look at it and I say, by then, a lot of people from my family, especially the girl child, I would say. The girls in my family, not most of them, we had degrees. So me having acquired that degree was something which I thought I needed to celebrate about, because it wasn't anything which was on the silver platter, whereby you can just get it and pick it up, like I said before. And then the fourth thing that I also appreciate is me being a mother and also a wife. Not everyone is privileged enough to be having those two. So me having that grace, I appreciate it and I'm very happy about it, because when I look at it, I wasn't able, and I would never have been able to have it if it weren't for the grace of God. So I'm very happy to be having very beautiful kids, who every day I know I'm working for these children. I need to add some joy to them. I always need to fend for them. I'm also supposed to be a responsible mother and also a responsible wife. That alone for me, I'm very happy about, and I thank God for such. And the fifth thing is that I'm a Christian. I'm happy because we all have got different religious persuasions, and because of that we come a long way and we act in different ways. So me being a Christian and also valuing the spiritual aspect of things and appreciating that we're all born different is enough for me to look at it and say I've done well for myself. I feel that being a Christian also helps, and it also controls your emotions, controls your temper, and it makes you a better person. And that alone, it has made me be the person that I am today, who believes in having love, in doing everything, and knowing that there's a God in heaven.
You are an actress, businesswoman, farmer, and politician. Are there any other professional hats that you wear?
Well, I'm a marketer. I've got a first degree in marketing and even a master's in marketing as well. So for me, marketing has been something that a lot of people don't know about, but of course it can be in the business aspect, but I believe that that is one thing also that people really don't know about. Yeah, and also that I'm a Christian, I continue saying it. It's something that I feel that is also important for people to know, because when you're out there, no one really understands you. People would think maybe you are that person. I know acting, especially when you're acting, some people have always thought that maybe actors and actresses are people of loose morals, but for me, I've said to myself, it's very, very important for me to be a dignified, a person full of integrity, and a person who has to make sure that it is, even wherever you go, whatever you do, people appreciate that you're a person who is well cultured. For me, that is what I appreciate most. My integrity is very important for me, and that is one thing that I value most.
Who inspires you every day, and how have they inspired your work?
I'm inspired by a lot of people, but I think I'm greatly inspired by people who show love. For me, love conquers all. In life, whatever you do, you need to put love first. If you put love, then you understand and appreciate things. I believe even when you are actually married, you need to put love first. Before you think that your partner is wronged you need to first have that idea of and also that heart of love. And even at work, if you've got a love for whatever you do, you appreciate and do it better because you've got love. But of course, I've got a lot of people that I really appreciate who are acting with love in whatever they do, who are also servant leaders. Let me appreciate and also look at the inspiration I get from Her Excellency Amai Mnangagwa, the First Lady of this country. You know, when I look at her, I see love. Whatever she does, she's a very humble person. You know, every time that I've interacted and interfaced with her, I see the humbleness in her. And also having come from a Christian background, whereby I know that if you humble yourself, God will lift you up. That's enough for me to look at it and say to myself, there she is, she's very humble. You would never think that she's the First Lady when she is giving those children. I saw her yesterday on TV. She was giving children food. At one point, she was actually helping this child to put on her clothes, uniforms that is. When I look at it, I say to myself, how many leaders will we have who will be like that? We have got the love, who will show love, who will be servant leaders. For me, I'm inspired by the way that she handles herself, especially in public. And I've said to myself, if you look at it, if you're a person of integrity, in Shona they say, Wunu is very important. So when I look at her, I see that she's quite a dignified person. You can actually emulate and take certain aspects of her life, certain traits from her. And that is what I've always done. I try to humble myself. I try to be a servant leader. Though I might not have a lot to offer, but whatever I have, especially my constituency, I try to make sure that at least I will help the next person in whatever capacity that I can. And also, what also makes me do that is because I know for me to be where I am today is because I got help from other people. My mom, my dad were not there, but of course there were some certain people who thought to themselves to say, let's help Tatenda to be where she is. So because of that help that I got from people, I've always said to myself, I also need to help other people and not look at people with that hatred. No matter if a person doesn't like me, they don't like me, yes, because I haven't been able to make them appreciate and understand me. Not because I'm supposed to hate them because they hate me. Or even me inheriting other people's enemies. I would never do that. For me, I take each person as they come and I love them the way that they are, because I know that even God himself loved me for me to be here. So why should I then hate someone? So for me, hatred is not anything in my vocabulary and even in my life, but all of what I appreciate is love, and love is very important going forward.
That's fantastic. Studio 263 focused on many issues to do with women and girls, especially their abuse and lack of representation in leadership roles. Do you think much has changed in terms of those stories in Zimbabwe?
The stories haven't changed, but when I look at it, I feel that of course there are efforts that are being done. There is no way we cannot speak of any change coming when we have got a legislation that is against child marriages. That alone is enough for us to go out there and say at least there is something which is being done. Of course, the environment is still the same, but now because of technology, I think the way that we react to certain issues is now different. I would say that before, someone would be raped and they have nowhere to then be able to report to, but now I believe that it's now changing. And also there's a lot of exposure, and also there is also even information being disseminated when it comes to even issues to do with gender-based violence. Now you can easily go to a certain organization which deals with these issues and then be able to get counseling and then be able to even get someone arrested. Even when it comes to the legislation, when it comes to punitive measures being leveled against perpetrators of GBV, you would see that there's actually a new norma coming into play. So that alone, for me, I feel that of course the environment is still the same, but now the mechanisms that are put in place for us to report, mechanisms that are there for us to be able to be informed about these issues are now different. But of course, I think what we need to do is to continue focusing and to continue pushing so that at least we get more legislation towards GBV, towards child marriages. I appreciate that now we are looking at a situation whereby we want the age of consent to then be harmonized with the constitution. It has to be the same. We have talked about this even in parliament. We have had issues whereby you find out that a child is allowed to indulge into sex at 16, but they're supposed to be married at 18. Already there will be a gap there. So what is very critical is a situation whereby if ever we're saying age of consent is 16, then let us align it with marriage. If it is 18, let us then align it with marriage, rather than for us to expose children to sexual behavior. Yet at the end of the day, we do not we want them to be exposed to sexual behavior without getting married. So I think that alone needs harmonization. But however, I think as legislators, I believe that there is a room and a gap for us to create more legislation that protects the girl child. We need to also protect the women. And also, of course, I've heard that even now women are actually having GBV with men or fighting men. I've heard that. So that alone, I think, is also legislation that then comes into play. And also, we want implementation of this legislation, so that at least even when it comes to the judiciary, they will then be able to take it upon themselves to give punitive measures when it comes to people who would then be perpetrators of such acts.
In your opinion, should child marriage be considered as a rape crime?
I'm sure it should be, because what happens is we need to understand what really rape is. When one has raped someone, they have shattered the dreams of that person. The same with child marriages. I know we need to understand and appreciate that a child can never be able to make a decision. That's why we have got guardianship, whereby you can then be able to look at and also be able to safeguard children's interests. So when I look at it, when someone has indulged in child marriages, they've actually shattered the dreams of that person. They've actually also forced that child into a relationship. We don't want to go on and say maybe that child was in consent. It's not it. They are not yet old enough to make such decisions. So in that way, that's why you see until at 18, that's why you would hear that we are talking of a minor. When you're below the age of 18, you're a minor, because we know and appreciate that children also need to grow. So we don't need to then shatter their dreams by them indulging into marriage, or us even just raping any child. Even not only even a child, even elders are actually being raped. So that alone, for me, I feel that it should be treated as rape, because you are forcing a child, because the child, and taking advantage of that child not being able to make a decision. So it's actually rape. That's the same with a rape case. If someone is going to indulge in sex without your consent, or indulges into sex when you do not want, already that's the same. Or even when you want but you are not ready for it. I'm just saying to myself, really, I'm sure it should be treated as rape. But of course, as I know, there are then different legislation when it comes to child marriages and also rape. They are treated differently. But I don't mind being treated the same, so that at least whatever punitive measures that are then put for a person who would have indulged into rape are also the same that are also put for someone who then indulges in child marriages. What it then does is that we have less cases of child marriages.
That's correct. Child marriages are also more affluent in rural communities. What are you doing as an MP to raise awareness amongst these young girls?
What I'm doing is that sometimes even at schools, we engage, and we also have to go and teach our children about marriage and the importance of marriage, and at what age they need to then indulge in marriage. However, I'm sure now there's legislation in place that then looks at sexual reproductive education that also we feel needs to be put in place when it comes to schools. But however, now in the community, we also have headmen. Headmen are called masaboko. They are also there to be indulging and also knowing information, since they are usually the ones who are available, especially at homes. With my chief, we have always tried to indulge these children so that at least we have these seminars whereby we are able to continue telling them. I appreciate what the First Lady is also doing, whereby she's doing Mugota, whereby children are going out there being taught what is expected from a child, and how what they can then do when they get to puberty and also adolescent period. So that alone is enough for us to appreciate that there needs to be this information dissemination. Children need to be taught. So for me as a legislator, this is what I'm doing, and also even the mothers, I'm also getting them. We do these seminars, we do these talks. Sometimes we even do women's days that we sit down, we talk, we just get these issues so that we get the core of these issues. But however, of course, I think we as a legislator, I feel I'm still lacking when it comes to going deep down and making sure that everyone is involved. Because when you look, even considering the current period now, we can't then be able to indulge everyone. So then we then are forced to then have minimum or limited numbers. So because of that now, it won't then be able to go out there. But however, I just hope I'll get more people coming on board, whereby we can even be having posters, we can then be having even pamphlets, so that children will continue being informed about these issues, so that at least we will have a better Zimbabwe, which will have no child marriages, and then people will indulge into marriages when they so wish.
Being young and a woman in politics is very impressive. Was the journey easy? And do you feel that you are respected by your male counterparts?
The journey was never easy. Male counterparts, they might respect me, they might not respect me. Unfortunately or fortunately, I'm not able to then be able to make them understand and appreciate me. Because here in Zimbabwe, or not only in Zimbabwe, worldwide, we have got a highly patriarchal society, which is dominated by men. So the moment that you're out there speaking, or maybe showing that you're capable more than what they can do, they may be intimidated by that. And the moment that they're intimidated by that, then you become a threat. So for you to be a favorite, that will be something that you'll be just dreaming of. And again, the journey in politics, I think what is very important is for you to have the determination first. You become determined, you stay focused, then you become consistent in whatever you do. For me, this has been something that I've always liked to do, to say to myself, whenever you need to concentrate on anything, you need to be focused and you need to be consistent. So I think on this journey, I've tried to be consistent, though I still have got a long way to go. But of course, I appreciate where I am today because I believe that a journey of 1,000 miles started with a step. And the step that I am today, I appreciate it. And I'm so grateful that at least I've managed to achieve and go on against all odds to be where I am today. And above all, I continue giving grace to God. Like I said, I'm a Christian, and because of that, this also helps me in understanding life in a different way. I understand life knowing that we have got certain barriers that we have, but if you stay focused, you then be able to achieve it. And indeed, in this political field, as women, we need to stand our ground. We don't need to be intimidated by men, and also we don't need to pull each other down. I've always said that as women, we have got this PhD whereby we are pulling each other down, and we don't need to do that as women. We need to capacitate each other. We need to be confident of ourselves. Do you know, even in politics, you'll find situations whereby people or women can actually want to vote for a man and not want to vote for their own. Why do we need to do that? Why can't we capacitate ourselves? Why can't we be able to promote ourselves as women? When a woman is going to stand for any position, why can't we take it upon ourselves to say, let's support this woman? Because after all, we are 52% of the whole population of Zimbabwe. So if we're 52%, that means we've got a greater number. So then why are we not supporting each other? And why don't we have a lot of women being in parliament? It's because we're pulling each other down. As women, we're not supposed to pull each other down. We're supposed to support each other so that at least we can get that generation whereby we have an all-inclusive society of women.
That's great. What is the one thing that you want people to remember you by?
I want people to remember me by having love. Be it my children. You know, I always have sad memories of my mother. You know, right now what I always do is, even when I get a woman who shares the same totem with my mother, I see that person as my mother, because so for me, what I would have wished and what I would have loved and what I still remember were the thoughts and what my mom did for me until I got to the age of 10. So that alone for me, it makes you understand and appreciate that whatever you do in life, you need to have love, so that people always remember you, especially when you're gone. I even in my constituency, I try to show love. Be it even in my marriage, I try to show love. I believe that love conquers all. So even when I'm gone, I appreciate and understand that people are supposed to know that Tatenda had love. What is it that I've seen in politics? In politics, people have got permanent enemies. Yet in politics, you're not supposed to have permanent enemies. But indeed, you should have permanent interest. And for me, I feel that if a person does not appreciate me, you know, in politics, you have maybe two or more people contesting. So if that person is going to support the other one I'm contesting with, why should I hate that person? For me, I feel that I should be able to appreciate that I have not done anything which has made that person appreciate me. So I need to take those things as they come, and I need to appreciate that this person I've not been able to satisfy this person to effect that person can be able to support me. So for me, I make love lead. And for me, when I look at things and when I do anything, I let love have the way. And for me, I appreciate people as they are. I'm not there to hate someone. For me, I still say hatred does not exist in my dictionary. And I would never hate, and I can never hate. And all I would do is to let love lead.
Thank you so much for sharing that. We just have one last question because we know you're rushing off to Parliament. You are a woman in farming. How can more young women and young people in Zimbabwe get involved in farming?
Young women can get involved in farming if they have the land. I know they can actually get signed off by certain farmers who already have land. But you know, what it then does is that sometimes you need to have that confidence that you'll still be there the next year. So we are happy that His Excellency Dr. Mnangagwa said that for all the land which is available now after the land audit, most of it will go to the young people. So that is an opportunity. that is an opportunity for young people. I believe that as young people, then we can then be able to engage into farming. That is an opportunity that will make a young person understand and appreciate that at least they've got land. So if you've got land, you get involved in farming. After all, Zimbabwe is an agro-based economy. So since we are an agro-based economy, we have got a lot of room of having an economy that is solely based on agriculture going forward. So that is an opportunity for us as young people. So young people need to take up this and then get employed. I know the president is also working on issues to do with employment creation. So this alone would then create employment, and then young people would then be able to get involved and also get involved in farming. Farming is actually one of the best businesses that you can ever get into. Why? Because when you farm and then when you then reap and then you take when you harvest, what then happens is that most of the money you get it in lump sum, and then you can then be able to do something which you at least can then be able to comment and say, I've done something huge and something worth noting. So farming is quite a business, and women should actually get involved. I'm very, very happy if there are more women getting involved in farming.
Thank you so much, Honourable. We hope you have a great day.
Thank you very much, Ms. V. It was a good day, and thank you.